Welcome to the Love Lounge podcast. This is not a place to learn, it's a place to land. Nothing here has to be earned, and nothing needs to be fixed. Love Lounge is an atmosphere, not a lesson. Here's your host, Laura Doughty.
Today I am excited for episode 21 of the Love Lounge. I am Laura Doughty, your host for today, and today's episode is not going to be a lesson. It is actually a moment I caught in myself. And it felt, kind of quiet. Not dramatic, not some big breakthrough, but just a soft awareness. It was an awareness that I had of an old pattern. I don't know how to describe what I experienced, but it was like I was present in my body, but at the same time, I was like watching myself going, Anyway, I hope you're still with me. This is not going to be woo-woo, I promise. But I made the choice at that moment to step into something new without making myself wrong. And that is huge for me. This wasn't about overgiving, about not feeling guilty when you stop, and definitely not about shaming that part of you. I like to call them the layer of you that learned how to, for me, what I call overgiving. So what I'm going to talk about today isn't about, shaming that, making you feel guilty, none of that. If any of this lands for you, take what resonates, and then of course you can leave the rest. This is just me letting you sit with me in a moment that I noticed something massively shift. So what am I talking about? This happened recently when I met a client that I'm working with, and I'm actually donating my services. And I do this once a month. I give my services away as a part of a way to donate, because sometimes giving people money doesn't always help them because they still end up having to pay somebody to do what you need to do. So I give of my time, and then they receive the services like it's an actual product that they get. So it goes multiple layers deeper for them, well beyond me giving to them at this moment. So anyway, the conversation with this client felt very aligned. It was not transactional. It didn't feel pressured. We just shared a sense of wanting to contribute to something meaningful that we both aligned with. So I offered to build their entire brand portfolio, building that out. And for me, that means, your logo can be your website. It can be your graphics, like just all of the things. So as I said, I did all of that for a donation, not because I felt obligated, but because I really felt like this was something that I could do easily, cleanly, and without resentment. And then, as I do, I went into what I call hyper creation mode. And if you know me, you know this mode. Like, I believe that moving fast creates massive momentum. So when I'm in alignment, I move and can move very fast. Websites, graphics, copy, social media assets, within 5 to 6 hours. I know it sounds crazy, but yep, that's what I get done. So you don't need AI when you work with me. Anyway, so it literally all came together in one day. It was clean, focused, and very present. And at some point, I noticed an old impulse rise up in me, this subtle urge to show somebody what I had built, not for feedback, definitely not for strategy, but just that familiar reflex of, hey, look what I made. Look what I did. Like that little girl in you that, for me, little girl in me, that's like raising my hand going, are you noticing me? And that's when something really landed very softly within me. Okay, I recognize this. This is an old reflex. It's not bad. It's not wrong. It's just very, very familiar. So I finished what felt sufficient, not what I could do. I didn't over build out this thing because I didn't want to assume that I knew things about her that, you know, that we hadn't yet communicated. I just did what felt very complete. And then I put the project down. I didn't keep pushing. I didn't linger in it. I didn't hover over for response. And just if you're wondering, like, well, okay, what's the big deal? Well, for people that like have this perfectionism, this overperforming mechanism within them, if that isn't you, good for you. But for those of us that do, you know, we were trained growing up. I was trained growing up that performance equals recognition, performance equals time, all of those things. So when you just kind of stop when it's good enough, that's very hard for me. So in this situation, I just let it be done. And that, as I am sharing, was extremely new for me. So here's the thing about overgiving. It's not always obvious. Sometimes it looks like generosity. As I've said here, sometimes it looks like productivity. Sometimes it shows up like leadership. And sometimes it feels like love. I've been really good at building people up. I feel like it's kind of my secret sense. Helping them create presence, helping others articulate who they are, giving structure to their ideas and vision. That part of me is very capable, extremely resourceful, and innately powerful because I learned early how to be useful, how to actually be impressive. I had to. It was a requirement for me to feel seen. Also, how to bring value into a room very quickly. And that's not something I want to exile. I don't want to shame that part of me. I don't want to fix that part of me. I just don't want her running the show unconsciously anymore. And what's different now is that I can see the patterns as a pattern, not as me, not as my identity, not as proof of my worth. I can thank that part of me and still choose differently. There's a maturity in being able to say, this part of me helped me survive. And I don't need her strategy for every single moment of my life. And when this client replied and gave me feedback on what I had developed for her, I noticed something else. I felt neutral, not cold, not detached, just okay. The old version of me, well, she might have needed the response to mean something about my worth, about whether I mattered, about whether what I had given her was enough. This time, I didn't. I wasn't attached to how it was received. I wasn't scanning for her appreciation. And I definitely was not waiting for her validation, her being my client. The offering was complete when I offered it. I like hearing myself say this right now. And this happened weeks and weeks ago, to be honest with you. That's like a really big deal. And if this resonates with you, I see you. Because there were no more emotional hooks in it for me. No hidden expectations, no quiet tally of what was going on, the tit for tat being kept. It felt clean, it felt complete, it felt done. And I realized this is what it feels like to give without leaving yourself behind. And I'm going literally like silly little words like that. They're not silly. Let me take that back. Words like that, when I say them and my old self hears them in my new self, yeah, this sounds so woo, I know, but if you know, you know. I just have tears that well up, tears of joy, of pride, of gratefulness, to be honest with you. So this is where the Love Lounge lives for me, because love isn't just about romance. Love is how we relate to ourselves when we give. Love is how we offer without abandoning ourselves in the process. Sometimes overgiving looks like love, but it's actually a way of leaving ourselves behind. There is a difference between giving from alignment and giving from proving, between offering and auditioning, between contribution and compensation. And this isn't something that you need to diagnose in yourself. There's no moral hierarchy here. It's just something to notice. When does your giving feel clean? And when does it feel like you're trying to earn something? Or you have an expectation that's silent on the other side of that gift? You don't have to decide what it means. Just notice how it feels in your body. Clean giving feels spacious. Overgiving usually feels tight, urgent, or performative. That awareness alone changes things. If you're catching an old pattern in yourself right now, you don't have to fight it. You do not have to correct it. You definitely do not need to make it wrong. Sometimes the most powerful shift is simply saying, "Oh, I see you, and I choose something different today." Thanks for sitting with me in this moment. Whether you are in your own noticing, I'm really glad you're here.
Thank you for allowing the Love Lounge podcast to be a part of your day. There's nothing you need to take from this. Just let it be with you. If you'd like to explore more, you can find more about Lara at laradoughty.com or raisedbyfire.com, and follow Lara on Instagram at the Lara Doughty. The light is on. Our door stays open.